Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cut to the Chase Sports Podcast, where we bring a unique insight and analysis for your favorite teams and all that stuff, the collegiate and professional levels. I'm your host, Chase Yantz. Alongside me is Brady King. Brady, what's going on?
Oh, not much. Just ready to talk about some football, some quarterbacks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All about quarterbacks episode, man. And we'll have Matt Ricketts join us in a couple of minutes. He's had some technical difficulties and getting food, but we'll get him on in just a little bit.
Yes, we will.
We've talked about quarterbacks, this quarterback list for a minute, talking about both collegiate and NFL things. What's something that you really kept an eye on for your list like today? Oh, if he's hold on. I think he's got something going on too. But what's something that you've kept an eye on, Brady, for your list and all that?
Really, all I've kept an eye on is what they've done in the past, and also what I think they could project to do. So, like, I don't just take into most of it. You really have had to show me something to get a ranking on this list. You can't just be a complete project, but also, there are some guys that have shown like flashes at times that are definitely on this list. And I just incorporate what I think they'll be in the future.
For sure. And that's something I've also taken a look on too and all that stuff. So just, what those guys have done. Some guys have a small sample size, smaller sample size than others. So that's kind of what it is. And we're actually going to get Matt on right now.
Yep.
Matt, what's going on, man?
Hello, everybody. What's going on? I'm ready to rock and roll, talk some quarterbacks. How about that?
Oh, I'm right with you there. I'm right with you.
All right. Here we come, baby. We're on them.
Hey, yes, we are on them, as Matt always says. So, we're not going to, waste too much time. We're going to look at the top 10 quarterbacks. This is Brady's list right here. So if you want to kind of dive in on it, Brady, you got it.
Okay. So my number 10 quarterback, we're doing college, right, first?
Yes, college.
Or NFL. College. Okay, my number 10 college quarterback going into the year is Spencer Rattler of South Carolina, transferred from Oklahoma. A lot of people are low on him right now after having a disappointing junior season last year and getting benched game 5 or game 6. However, we should not forget that he didn't lose. He went on like a 15-game winning streak, and never lost. He was 15-0 in his last 15 starts at Oklahoma, and that's got to be worth something. And I think he's a very good thrower. He can throw the ball. Like, it's hard to explain. He's just got a good arm. The ball pops out of his hand, and I feel like he's put up that production before, to where I think he's getting the number 10 spot on this list. Was he overrated coming out of high school? Yeah, a little bit, but still, I do think he's a good quarterback. Going in at 9, I have Tyler Van Dyke out of Miami, who took over as their starting quarterback about halfway point last year. Great half of a season-ish for him. He wasn't the starter the whole year, I don't believe, but showed how strong his arm is and how elite his arm is. Number 8, I have Dylan Gabriel of Oklahoma, transfer from UCF. Very strong left-handed quarterback. I think he's going to be the best quarterback in the Big 12 this season. And I think he throws a really nice deep ball and will lead the Sooners to a Big 12 championship. Number 7, I have Aiden O'Connell, Purdue quarterback, who had a very good season last year. Threw for like 28 touchdowns, I want to say. Somewhere in the range. He threw for high 20s. Quite a few yards in many big games against Michigan State, Ohio State, teams like that. And just puts really good touch, knows where he's going with the football. Just good overall, good all-around QB. Number 6, I have Caleb Williams of USC, transfer from Oklahoma. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback, but right now I think he's overrated as to what he's already what people have said he's already done. I don't think he was one of the best QBs in the country last year, but I do see him becoming one of the top QBs this year, and then eventually potentially being the number one QB next season after 2023. My number 5 quarterback is Sam Hartman of Wake Forest. Does he have the talent that Caleb Williams has? No, he does not. But he has proven so much more. Had a huge season last year. I believe he might have hit the 40s in the touchdown category, at least 30s. I'm not positive on that. But Sam Hartman can really sling it around. Number 4, this is more of a projection. This is probably my boldest take on this list. And I usually am not high on guys like this, but Anthony Richardson out of Florida. I think he has a very strong arm, which doesn't always equate to success. But the things I've seen from him is I've seen him make big throws, and I think he runs the ball at an insanely high level. He's huge, and he can score. He'll score multiple 50-yard touchdowns on the ground this season for sure, and he'll get first downs. And I just think he's going to develop into an NFL prospect. My number 3 quarterback is Hendon Hooker, Tennessee. I believe that he is the best. He has maybe the nicest deep ball in the country. Very, very accurate. And he's going to put up huge numbers, 30-plus touchdowns. Number 2 is the returning Heisman winner, Bryce Young. Obviously, he has an argument for number 1, but I think he's a great playmaker. Put up big numbers, but he does not have Jameson Williams and John Mechie like last year to help him. He's got more of unproven receivers coming to the team. But I still think he has a huge year. And then number 1, I have Ohio State QB CJ Stroud. I don't really care if anyone says I'm biased. I mean, I think it's kind of quite a few people think he's the number 1 QB in the country, even with the Heisman coming back. But CJ's number 1. I think he has a huge season, and I think he's definitely destined to be a first-round pick.
Well, hell yeah, I like that list right there. That's a good list for the most part.
Thank you.
I think one guy you're missing on the list that a lot of NFL scouts are really liking right now is Will Levis.
He's in my honorable mentions, but yeah, go ahead.
From Kentucky, the Penn State transfer to Kentucky. I think he's a guy that could end up making his way on a list like this eventually. Now, maybe not yet, but a lot of the NFL guys are really liking him as maybe even a 3rd or 4th guy coming out next year, depending on how good of a season he has.
Right.
I also, like I told you before we came on, I think Caleb Williams, for me, I would have him a little high. I would have him 3rd or 4th on my list. I think talent-wise, he's up there. You're right about not really accomplishing much yet.
Mm-hmm.
Mine, I just whenever I would make a list, it's kind of more of a projection base, but also what have you done, kind of a combination of both. So for me, projection-wise, I think Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley are going to have a hell of a year out west. So I would put him higher. But I think Spencer Rattler is going to come back. He's very talented. I mean, he might not be as talented as what, when he came out as highly recruited as he was and everything. He might not be that talented, but he's got a hell of an arm. And I think he'll make South Carolina – he'll keep South Carolina in some games that they have no business being in. They're not going to be an 8 or 9 or 10 win team by any means, but
One second, let me get out of here real quick. I'm gonna join on a different device.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
I got you. Yep. Yeah. Finish that up, Matt. What you got?
Like I said, I just think he will. He'll keep South Carolina competitive in a lot of games that they shouldn't be in at all based off of their talent level. So, overall, I think it's a really good list, Brady. Good job.
Thank you.
I will say, talking about Will Levis, last year he had 2,826 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. Something that to keep an eye on this year, they actually added the previous 49ers quarterback coach, Rich Scangarello, as their offensive coordinator. That is something to keep an eye on because the 49ers, overall, he comes from the Shanahan tree. I don't know if they're going to put a lot of pro-style stuff in their system, if Will Levis is going to be able to run a lot of zone reads and throws and hit, all that stuff. But it'll be interesting to see how Will Levis tries to produce and, maybe crack that top 10 list or whatever, or even move himself up further. Going forward. But, a hot topic with this, Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I know we're all Ohio State fans. We know all about, the battle that they had last year going up for the Heisman and all that stuff. But, what sets CJ Stroud apart from Bryce Young? Because I think we all think that CJ Stroud's going to have the better season. Matt, what do you think sets him apart, CJ Stroud?
He's a much better pocket passer than Bryce Young is. Bryce is a little bit better, is better on his feet and moves a little bit better, throwing on the run and everything. But I think just CJ overall, he's got a better arm. He throws a better deep ball, and he's a much better pocket passer. And for us as Buckeye fans, I mean, we're not admire on that offense. We have our quarterbacks running 15, 20 times a game. Ryan Day's really kind of got away from that. So we're not asking him to go out there and be a dual threat dude all the time. Occasionally, he's going to have to tuck it and then get what he can. But he's just a better player. Now, team success-wise, obviously Bryce was on the better team last year. They got farther. Heisman historically goes to the best player times. So that's fine. I think I agree with better quarterback.
Yeah. How about yourself, Brady? What do you think?
Well, the reason I think CJ Stroud is better is a lot of the things that Matt said. I think he's much more accurate from the pocket, and I think his decision-making back there, I just think he reads the field better. And I just think he's the pure better quarterback. The only thing Bryce Young does better is escape the pocket, I guess, which he gets sacked a lot, though, because he stays back there a while. I don't think he was the better QB last year. I know he put up similar numbers, but if you take their per game ratio, I believe CJ Stroud beat him. And you just turn on the tape, and he just looks so much more NFL ready, too. He's 3 inches taller. And I just think – and his receivers are better for sure. CJ's are, which I think is going to help his season in terms of this season. I think he'll have a better season than Bryce. I think he wins the Heisman.
Okay. I could definitely see that. And, you talk about size and all that stuff when it comes to those two guys. So CJ Stroud, he's 6'3", 215 pounds, compared to Bryce Young's 6 foot, 194, and, trying to stay durable in the pocket and all that. Bryce Young's probably not going to be able to step up and, step in the pocket as well and try to, take lanes and get out of sacks when it comes to trying to, not tuck and run, but to tuck, to stay in the pocket and make throws down the field. It's going to be tougher for Bryce Young to do all that stuff.
I agree.
And then, CJ Stroud, there's times where he doesn't run at all. It's just he's not entirely, he saw the Oregon game, though. He wasn't entirely ready sometimes here and there, but
right.
He'll eventually get better at that, as the season and his career goes on.
Right. I will say,
yeah.
When people freaked out about him after the Oregon game, Matt, you stood your ground.
I absolutely did.
You stood your ground. You said he's the guy, and you were right. He ended up convincing every Ohio State fan that he was the best QB in the country. So I got to give you your credit.
Absolutely. I was definitely staying my ground. Thought he was definitely better. A lot of people wanted to, abandon him. I stuck with it.
You did.
Mm-hmm. And I personally thought for a second, I was like, I don't really, obviously with that Oregon game, I was like, I don't really know what's going on. I have no idea what to expect when it comes to what CJ's going to do and all that throughout the rest of the season. But, I mean, I questioned for a second. I got it. I can't lie or anything like that. But, he was, everything plus more than what, could have been expected and all that when it comes to his, singular performances and all that stuff. I mean, 91.6 quarterback rating. We got to take note of that. That was best overall in the nation out of quarterback rating. Quarterback ratings on a 1 to 100 point scale.
Right.
And all that. And then, passer rating in college football, that's just, the infinite amount of numbers. But that's really something to keep an eye on. He was number 1 in quarterback rating, 5th in yards, 3rd in touchdowns, and, wasn't anywhere near the top 30 in interceptions thrown last year. So CJ Stroud was, obviously had a very, very stellar season.
He did. He checks every box.
Mm-hmm. And then I also want to add Bryce Young, 2nd in passing yards, 2nd in touchdowns, and 2nd in quarterback rating. But that 2nd in quarterback rating right behind CJ Stroud. That's something. Right. I mean, quarterback rating is something that you can grade off of something more than I'd say passer rating and all that stuff, because I think it takes more into account when it comes to quarterback rating in general. I think does, because it's a smaller scale and all that. There's more margin for error when it comes to pass rating and all that. But quarterback rating, it is a condensed scale, so like the numbers don't look exactly blown up or blown out of proportion as some of them as some quarterbacks make it seem.
Because you never know how many yards he ends up with the 2 extra games that Bryce got.
Exactly. I mean, he still finished 5th in yards and all that, and Bryce out through, and he also got to remember CJ Stroud was out for a game as well.
He was.
Wow.
5 games.
Yeah, so he played 3 less games, and Bryce Young had 400 more passing yards. So I mean,
CJ kills him then. And if he played those games, at least.
If you think about it, he would have him in that sense. But kind of moving in a different direction though. We talked about a little bit of this earlier with Matt's thing about Will Levis. Which outsider has the best chance of making this list by the end of the season, though? Start with you, Brady.
I'll probably go with. I've got 3 guys I'm going to name. I'm going to name my number 1. I'm going to go with Will Levis, who Matt mentioned, who wasn't in my list. Because if the scouts are right, then, of course, he'll be in this list. But I don't necessarily see that. That's why I put him in this category. And I also like Dorian Thompson-Robinson from UCLA to have a big potential 5th-year senior season. He's been a starter. This is going to be his 5th year starting. And he's always been a pretty solid QB. And then Malik Cunningham from Louisville, who's a lot like Lamar Jackson. I'm not going to say he's Lamar, but in terms of best Louisville can get since Lamar, this guy's pretty good.
Okay. I mean, you look at Malik Cunningham's stats last year: 19 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, quarterback rating of 81.9 last year, which was 7th in all of college football. Wow, that's pretty impressive stuff. When it comes to that. Look, I think last year had 62% completion percentage, so maybe he'll be able to, keep that going, this year and try to get those numbers up, and then we'll get Matt back on right now. So Matt, we were talking about which outsider has the best chance of making this list by the end of the season. Who would you have on there?
Will Levis for sure. I didn't act with a question about it. I would have saved it. But like I said, the scouts are huge on him. He's for over like 2,000 yards, and they were competitive. Like, sure.
All right. Yep, I agree. I'm gonna remove Matt for just a moment, so he can get some connection back really quick. He can join back on anytime. But here, I do agree with the Will Levis and all that. Trying to, get back on that list. I could definitely see that happening. And Malik Cunningham as well. So yeah, a lot of guys obviously have lots of things to prove. Coming up in the college football season and all that. And we're, definitely going to have, more talks about that moving forward. in general. And we'll get Matt back in just a moment. But we're gonna try to shift gears right now and go into the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. Actually, pardon me. We'll go top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. Here we go. My list has kind of been going, a little bit all over the place, here and there, everywhere. We'll see if Matt's able to get on here. So here we go. My top 10 list reads as this. So starting at number 10, I've got Lamar Jackson. All right. There's a lot of hate here for Lamar Jackson. There's also a lot of love going around for him. I'm not going to be like, oh, he's definitely not a top 10 quarterback or whatever, but he's borderline for sure. Look at his numbers last year. I know he got hurt week 14 against the Browns, but he was 16 touchdowns to 13 interceptions and still got nominated to the Pro Bowl, which doesn't make much sense at all, actually.
No, it doesn't.
Incomprehensible, by the way. When it comes for number 9, Derek Carr. With him, I thought Derek Carr was more of a stat king and all that stuff as it came up through the ranks and all that. But he really did break through last year in December. They were 6-7 at one point. I think they lost to the Chiefs in week 14. I really thought, the Raiders had done this a couple of years. I really thought they were done. But then, they go on the road a few times, win a couple of big games, win a huge one against the Indianapolis Colts to start off 2022, and then they beat the Chargers in probably the best regular season game of all of football last year. So, that really impressed me what Derek Carr did down the stretch and everything. I think he was top 5 in passing yards last year. Made some huge throws, huge comebacks and all that. He had 4,804 yards, 23 touchdowns, to 14 interceptions. So, and a 94 rating, which is, that's a little above average, but a 68.4% completion percentage. That's very, very good in the National Football League overall. So, got to give Derek Carr the props there. And, that's why I keep forgetting that I have a nice little jersey of his as well. Had to show some Derek Carr love there. Definitely not during that playoff game the other time. Number 8, though, Russell Wilson. I don't want to forget how good Russell Wilson is. Obviously, he got hurt last year in week 5, so his numbers were a bit skewed and all that. Still threw 25 touchdowns to 6 interceptions and had a 103.1 passer rating, 3,113 yards, and completed nearly 65% of his passes. So I thought Russell Wilson, he had a good year for what he had, like when it came to stats and all that. Obviously his team didn't win and get to the playoffs, and that was only the second time that's happened in his career. But, I don't know how the whole thing with Denver is going to go. I'm really not believing in the Denver hype. I know they won 7 games last year, and they were really one quarterback away from having a pretty good team, and they feel like they got their guy. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how Russell Wilson plays out with the receiving core, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and Tim Patrick, as well as Javonte Williams of the backfield and Melvin Gordon. So, it'd be interesting to see how that all goes out with the Broncos and all that, and new coach Nathaniel Hackett. Number 7, I have Matt Stafford here. I know Matt Stafford won the Super Bowl last year. He played Joe Burrow, so maybe people are like, oh, you should be rating him higher in like the top 5 and all that. Matt Stafford this late in his career, I don't think he's going to be able to get in the top 5 at all. I really don't. I don't know. I really don't see, he had 50 touchdowns, about 20 interceptions if you count the postseason last year. Threw for a lot of yards, pretty good completion percentage, made a lot of big throws, a lot of big plays. Also made a lot, a lot of costly plays, but some quarterbacks are like that. You live and you die by them. But, I think Matt Stafford coming into the season, he's got Cam Akers in his backfield and, Henderson as well. But then he's got, obviously, the Triple Crown winner, Cooper Kupp. Allen Robinson is an underrated pickup right there, obviously. I mean, that guy's a number 1 receiver that's going to be a 2, and they can put him on anywhere on the field as well as Cooper Kupp. And then think about it, Robert Woods, whenever he's back. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr., He's going to sign somewhere else most likely. But Robert Woods coming back in the lineup after he tore his ACL, and Odell filled in for him so nicely last year. So I think Stafford, will have a very good year. I just don't know how the rest of this Rams team is going to, look as, they try to go for a quest of going back to back. I don't know if they're going to be rejuvenated enough to try to get back and win another Super Bowl this year. So that's where I have Stafford at 7. At 6, Justin Herbert. I know people talk about Herbert, Burr, and all that. I think Herbert, very good quarterback, strong arm, big dude. He's got good numbers. Has yet to make the playoffs is a big thing for me. It's probably why, he could potentially be a little lower on this list than where he, actually is. I got to give him, I got to give credit where credit is due when it comes to, his numbers and being so young. And I don't want to just base it solely off of numbers, but yeah, the more I think about it, like, people talk about Justin Herbert because of his numbers. That's really about it. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't gotten to the playoffs. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done shit. So I would like to see what he does in the playoffs, though. I would like to say they got a good shot at making the playoffs this year, though. Their team is really well constructed and all. So maybe he's going to have the opportunity to move himself up on the list this year. And number 5, Joe Burr. I know, the three of us were having a conversation, Matt, off camera right now. We were all having a conversation about, where Joe Burrow could be placed and everything. But, I got him at 5. Led the Bengals to the Super Bowl last year, returning everybody. Offensive line got better. That was the main issue. He was making big-time throws, big-time plays with his legs as well as the season got late. Took a lot of sacks, still stand in the pocket, deliver tough throws. 4,611 yards passing, 34 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. A little bit of a high number right there, but a lot of those came early in the season where he threw a lot more touchdowns as well. 16 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, though, in the last 8 games of the season. As it got to December all the way to the Super Bowl, when it's crunch time, when it means business, he got the job done. Almost all of the job done until the final play of the Super Bowl. He got the job done. So I got to obviously give my quarterback credit. That's why I'm wearing a Joe fucking Burrow shirt. So that's another reason there. Number 4, Josh Allen. The dude's athletic. He's got a good arm. Gets outside of the pocket, able to find guys here and there. Gabriel Davis has been such a big help for him. Talk about that playoff game last year. He had 4 touchdowns on 200 yards and 8 catches. I think his receiving core has gotten better overall this year. Josh Allen, though, he's going to have a new offensive coordinator coming in, which will be interesting to see how they do things. I'm just adding Matt back on right now. It will be interesting to see what they do, how they do things. But I got Allen at 4. I don't know. I think they're scheduled. I'm talking a little too much about their schedule and all that. That's another time for predictions. But I have Allen at 4. I think he's a very good quarterback, near generational as well. And number 3, I got Tom Brady. Man, he's the GOAT. I'm going to be legit. He's the GOAT. Everybody knows that. Led the league in passing yards, threw for like 5,300 yards last year. Looks so comfortable in that offense, was just slinging it all over the place. His receiving core with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, just added Russell Gage from the Falcons. Scotty Miller, Cameron Brate, guys out of the backfield, Leonard Fournette, Gio Bernard, Ronald Jones. He's got a loaded cast of players. He just produces year in and year out, and almost made a hell of a comeback against the Rams last year to go to the NFC Championship. Just wasn't enough. But I still like how Tom Brady, at the age of however old he is, just the ageless wonder, just still kicking it and standing in the pocket and taking some shots and throwing and all that, and really like what he's done. Well, number 1 and number 2 though. I got Rodgers at 2, Mahomes at 1. Rodgers at 2, for the fact that I want to have a nice weighing scale, but Aaron Rodgers brought to my attention. He hasn't done shit in the playoffs. Hasn't done a thing. All right, the last few years, he won a Super Bowl in 2010, 2011, but he really hasn't done anything since. He's gotten to like 4 NFC Championship games. That's folded in all of them. I mean, he was the league MVP last year, and I will say 90 touchdowns to 8 interceptions over the last 2 years is downright insane.
Yeah,
so, I mean, I'm not moving him anywhere lower than 2 is my assumption. You know, he's not going to have Devontae Adams anymore. He's going to have some other guys step up, some younger guys. I don't know how that clash is going to go when it comes to him having other guys step up. Christian Watson would be, you know, the guy most likely to, or Alan Lazard even. So, but we've seen it before, though. When Jordy Nelson's gone, who stepped up? Devontae Adams stepped up. A young receiver that was, you know, weren't too really sure about, stepped up. So I don't know what's going to happen when it comes to that. But I do say this. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Their receiving core is loaded. Tight end, obviously best in football, I would say. Got so many toys out of the backfield and all that. Mahomes had an awful AFC title game in the second half. I'm so glad he did. But that's beyond the fact. But Mahomes is just I don't know. I think some of the creativeness that he's able to have with the football, it also comes on to Andy Reid as well when it comes to offensive play calling. But just having the majesticness of Patrick Mahomes just adds more levels to this Chiefs offense and more layers as well. So that's my list. It's kind of, you know, it's a little, I would say, it's subject to change, I would say. But that's how I would have it rated going in to 2022. And I know Matt's reacting to all of our lists. What do you think about this list, though, Matt?
I like it, especially 10 through 6. I don't have a single change with any slot you have 10 through 6. Like we were talking about before the show started, I have Burrow a lot higher than most people have him. I like Burrow at number 2, believe it or not.
Okay.
Like I was telling you guys before the show started, he's not as talented as, you know, Rodgers, doesn't have the arm Josh Allen does, or Justin Herbert does, but he's a freaking winner. He reminds me of Tom Brady a lot, just a little bit more talented than Tom Brady is. More athletic, can move better, things like that. But just the way he carries himself, he's a winner. He's a dude. I mean, he just took the Bengals with that shitty offensive line clear to the Super Bowl in his second year after coming off an ACL injury. I mean, I think that's got to be really, you know, that's got to carry a lot of weight here. So I like Burrow at 2. Mahomes is number 1 for sure. I would put Rodgers at 3. I think he's the most talented out of all of them. I think he throws the best ball. I think if you're just talking from a purely skill talent perspective, he's probably the best quarterback to ever live, ever played a game. But he hasn't played in the Super Bowl in 12 years. The past few years, he's really choked in the playoffs. There's no reason he shouldn't have won at least one playoff game last year. Home against the Niners and Lambeau, he's got to win that game. And he's just choked the past few years in the playoffs. So that's kind of my reaction to your list. I like your list for the most part. Just that one little switch up with Burrow at number 2. I'm really high on Burrow, higher than most people for sure.
Okay. Yes, and Brady, what are your thoughts on this list? I could see that though, Matt. I could see like in, you know, maybe a couple, you know, maybe even a year or two's time where Joe Burrow could make that jump if he's able to consistently keep playing that way. He's, like I said, he's always toward the top of every list. There's not a really seen deficiency. You know, obviously every quarterback is no quarterback or no player is perfect, but you can't really see the deficiencies as much as some of these other guys when it comes to, like, you know, in-depth stats, when it comes to basic stats and all that. So I will say that. I also am wearing a Joe motherfucking Burrow shirt, so that kind of helps. But
before Brady goes, I will say one more thing. A wild card for this list that could really throw everything up, screw it all up, is Deshaun.
Yeah.
What's the suspension he going to get? This, that, or the other? You know, is he going to be out the whole year? Because I think he's easily top 10 when he's playing, right? He's easily top 10, and he might have a argument to move up in that 6, 7, 5, 6, 7 range. So just watch out. We got to watch out for that one too. And then, as the season goes on, we'll be able to give a better, more accurate list with everybody playing and things like that.
And that's also something like there's a lot of, when it comes to his situation, we don't know when that's going to happen, when the ruling will happen, how many games it'll happen, who the first team they'll play coming back is and everything. But a lot of quarterbacks are, playing in new spots this year on, on this list and everything. You got Russell Wilson's on a new team and guys I didn't mention on the list, like Matt Ryan, who was a former top 10 quarterback overall. And, Deshaun Watson, when he comes back and joins and all that. So that's definitely something to, keep an eye on and all. So, yeah, good insights there. Brady, what do you have though? What do you have thoughts on it?
Have any problems with this list. I literally have the exact same list, except I swapped 1 and 2. I have Aaron Rodgers at 1.
Okay.
I just can't deny the fact that he's been MVP the last 2 years, and the 90-8 ratio was absurd. I know he struggled in the playoffs, and I just don't know why. Like, I don't get he's that insane in the regular seasons. I don't want to I'm not going to take him off of 1 for that. But it's super close with Mahomes. It's really close. But then other than that, I have very identical list. Did you have Lamar or Derek Carr at 10?
Well, I had Lamar at on this list, I was going back and forth between Lamar and Derek Carr. I had Derek Carr at 9 and Lamar at 10. So
that's my list as well.
Yeah, I think that's where I think I might have Lamar at 9.
Okay, yeah,
I spoke it though as Lamar. I don't know. That's the thing. There's a group of interchangeable quarterbacks that I have through 9 through 11, which is Lamar, Derek Carr, and Dak Prescott. I think Derek Carr is the better of the two.
But I think you could throw another guy in there too. I think Kyler Murray is also. Yeah, you throw 4 guys in there, 9 through 12.
Yep.
That Derek Carr, Lamar, Dak, Kyler. I think if you would poll America, I think most people would have Kyler in the top 10. I really do. I think we're actually on the, in the minority here with Derek Carr in the top 10. I think he's better, but I think most people would actually have Kyler in the top 10. So that's another guy to watch out for there too.
I agree. I definitely agree with that.
Definitely could. Leave Kyler in the top 10. I thought of him and Dak for sure. With Derek and Lamar, those 4 are just right next to each other for the list. And then I think that after Russell Wilson, those are arguable. And I think that Matt Stafford and Russell Wilson is also a close call, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And same with Herbert and Burrow, and same with Mahomes and Rodgers and Josh Allen and Tom. It's all it's mostly groups of 2.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, like you said, Mahomes and Rodgers is that look, and that's kind of what I have here on this graphic, though. It's Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and you got Brady and Allen grouped. When it comes to the list like this, Burrow, Herbert, Stafford, Wilson, and then 9 through 12. But we kind of talked about Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. Talk a little more about Aaron Rodgers, but when you look at his playoff stats, the last few years, 19 he made the NFC Championship game. 2020 also made the NFC Championship game, and then this year against the Niners, 20 for 29, 225, no touchdowns, no picks, and got sacked 5 times. So, okay, do we want to blame an offensive line on this one? I mean, there's a lot of blame for we all blame offensive lines for this and that, but when you have started, let me look, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You've had almost 20 playoff starts in your career. The pressure's on you to get the job done. That's just what it is. And flat out, Aaron Rodgers didn't get the freaking job done. They scored 10 points in their playoff game, their home playoff game against the 49ers, had multiple opportunities to go down and score, although the Niners defense is a very good defense, but it's so many opportunities to go down and score. Aaron Rodgers didn't take advantage of it, and that's just, that's the bottom line with him. And, I flirted back and forth between Rodgers and Mahomes when it comes to number one, and seeing how Rodgers played, like, it's not how bad he played, and I don't think he played that bad when it comes to, breaking down the numbers and all that against the 49ers. It's just, like he wasn't able to make any big plays in that room. He just played average against them. That's Jimmy G's job to do. And Jimmy G played average and won.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers played average, and what do you expect? Nothing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Rodgers, he choked. I mean, there's no real other way to say it. I mean, he choked in the second half of the Buccaneers playoff game 2 years ago. I mean, the first half he was fine. The second half he shit down his leg. I mean, he is, like I said, I think he's the best quarterback to ever play the game skill-wise. He's just,
I agree.
But he just doesn't get it done when it needs to get done. So, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, one of the best ever. He's got a ring, but at the same time, that was like 12 years ago. So, what have you done for me lately? What have you done for me lately? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's how we all value this list. Oh yeah, Brady, you didn't know if you're gonna go.
Oh, I wasn't really gonna say much, but just, I mean, since I'm in the lone here of Rodgers over Mahomes, it's true. I mean, he does choke in the playoffs, but I just think if you put him on the Chiefs, and yes, I get the Packers have a great roster too, but I think Andy Reid is legit as a coach. I think he's a big factor of this Chiefs team. Obviously, Mahomes is too. I think if you put Aaron Rodgers there, I think he gets some help in these playoff games. Just a little bit. Because that was a playoff game against the Niners was pretty nasty, if I remember, weather-wise, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it was pretty nasty.
And I'm not giving him excuses or anything, but I try.
So you don't like Matt LaFleur?
No, he's fine. He's just not Andy Reid.
Oh, he's definitely not Andy Reid. I mean, Andy Reid's probably the second best coach in football behind Belichick.
Honestly, might be the best at this moment.
He might be. I mean, Sean McVay.
Yeah.
All those guys are. Yeah, 100%. I'm with you. Andy Reid's a great coach, but
definitely. But that's all I can say about in that sense. I could see either side for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of answers though this year when it comes to, think about both of these guys in general. I mean, Rodgers lost his star and Mahomes lost his star. So we're really gonna see which guy can, really carry his team one way or another. When we're talking about like projections and all that, I think it'll be Mahomes just due to the fact that his receiving core is about 5 or 6 guys deep. Maybe not all of the caliber of Tyreek Hill, but some of these guys in this, have, they've at least been, pretty, somewhat reliable starters. Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdes-Scantling coming over from the Packers, some draft picks they had in, Sky Moore, and then an undrafted in Justin Ross. And then is McCole Hartman going to step up and, maybe take that role that Tyreek Hill was playing in, because he's versatile and, quick and all that and has decent hands. So, I mean, that's why I think Mahomes and, in that aspect is going to be fine. I'd want him over Aaron Rodgers for 2022. And then, we already saw that top 10 list, and we talked a little bit about the outsiders on this. I mean, look at 11 through 13 right here for myself. I mean, you could have that switched around because of the, the national aspect of Kyler Murray being a top 10 quarterback, but, maybe this wouldn't be in order. Dak, Kyler Murray, and someone to keep an eye on, Kirk Cousins. New offensive scheme. I think it's Kevin O'Connell's their new head coach, I believe. I'm not too sure. But yeah, there's going to be a pass happy offense. I can tell you that coming up.
I like Kirk and I like Matt Ryan a lot to have a good year too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they're both.
Matt Ryan's in a great situation.
Oh yeah.
Got out of shitty Atlanta. He's got arguably, I would say, the second best running back in the league. With Taylor to lean on. He's he's steady. You know, you want your quarterback to be that steady hand. That's what Matt Ryan is. I could really see the Colts. I think the Colts are going to win that division this year.
Yeah,
I was actually talking to one of my friends about it. I think they're going to win the South. I like the Colts as a sneaky. I'm not saying they're going to make the Super Bowl. I'm just saying in general, a sneaky little sleeper. Like if you're having a sleeper team coming out, it wouldn't shock me at all. I like the Colts this year. I like Matt Ryan too.
What do you have to say about Jonathan Taylor's college mascot?
Fuck you, Bucky.
That's great. That's great stuff.
That's classic.
Oh man, I'd agree though. I definitely agree with you though with the Colts right there and Matt Ryan. I think this could, I don't know how many years Matt Ryan has left. Within this is being his 14th year, but this could definitely rejuvenate him. He's got. Like I said, Jonathan Taylor and to lean on and all that, and Michael Pittman Jr. on the outside, and Alec Pierce, their second round pick, and Jack Doyle at tight end, Mo Alley Cox, and all that. So I think he's got a very good support system. His defense is very good. People realize that Stephon Gilmore's a Colt now. So, but yeah, I think the Colts have a really have the best shot at winning that division. The Titans decline. The Colts are on the incline. The Texans and the Jags are in the cellar, although the Texans have some really cool helmets now. I will say that they're wearing in November, but that's that's another time. But yeah, I definitely agree with the Colts on that. The Vikings, Kirk Cousins, talk about his two receivers and Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, and we see Dalvin Cook out of the backfield a little bit more. If Kevin O'Connell's able to draw some things up in the right direction, 37 years old, another young guy, and trying to run an offense and all that, former NFL quarterback as well. I'm excited to see what Kirk Cousins can try to do this year. And like Matt said, he has the Colts winning that division. I've got the Vikings winning that division. I don't think the Packers.
Me too. I was about to say the exact same thing. I mean, without Devontae Adams, I'm not saying Rodgers is going to have a terrible year, but everything's set up for the Vikings. The Bears suck, the Lions suck, and the Packers are taking I would say a decent step back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm picking the Vikings to win that division too.
Yep. And we'll talk more about that when we do we'll do divisional breakdowns and all on side videos and everything. But yeah, I certainly agree. I think Minnesota and Green Bay are going to be. I still think they're going to be pretty close overall. I think both teams will make the playoffs. But Minnesota, this is their time. I mean, you think about it, Justin Jefferson's in his third season. Kirk Cousins, he'll be in a new offense this year, but maybe this is the break that he was looking for from new offensive coordinator and all. He was under Mike Zimmer the entire time. Maybe he's been a guy that's been wanting change overall. The Monday night woes is something to look at with Kirk Cousins. I mean, he's, when it comes to him in prime time, he's not, not all that well. But they don't play in primetime a whole lot this year. So maybe that helps them out too. But yeah, I think the Vikings are going to have a good shot this year. I think Kirk Cousins, the new offense, I think it's going to, be rolling and all that. They're going to involve Dalvin Cook. They're going to involve some more guys that, normally wouldn't think would be in there. So I really do like what the Vikings are able to do this year, what they can be able to do this year. We'll do more of an NFL stuff on them another time. Which kind of goes to my last question. Which NFL quarterback has the best chance of entering this top 10 list in the fall? I know we mentioned a couple guys, but how about we throw a little wild card out there? Let's maybe not the top 10, but borderline top 10. There's a lot of young guys in the NFL. There's a lot of guys that are trying to prove themselves in year 2 and year 3. Who's got a good chance to make the biggest step forward in 2022? I'll go with Brady first.
I'd love to say my guy Justin Fields, but he's in the worst situation he could possibly be in, so I'm not going to say him. I think I'm going to go with Mac Jones because Bill Belichick will get him right. And I don't think he'll ever be a top 5 quarterback, but sneaking into that top 10, Matt Ryan-esque ceiling, I think he could be up there with another big season. But is he as talented as a guy like Fields or even a guy like Trevor Lawrence? No chance. But he's just in a much different system that allows you to throw some easier throws to get you going. Where the Bears will send two guys on routes. One of them will be a tight end. The other one will be some random slot. And they're running a corner and a post. And they're not giving them anything to do. So I'm going with Mac Jones on that one.
Okay.
Hot take. Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts. Here he comes. I don't think he could throw very well, which this is why I think it's kind of crazy that I'm saying this. But if you think about the guys they surround him, the Eagles are going to win the division.
I agree with that.
They had a great draft. They had a great draft. They got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. They got some good receivers around them. They were the number one rushing offense in the league last year per carry.
Yeah.
So that's going to be huge. Their offensive line is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in terms of winning, Jalen Hurts is going to really take the next step. I think you see a team that goes 12-5, 13-4, something like that, like having a huge year the Eagles are going to have.
Okay.
So I'm not saying he's going to blow it up and throw for thousands and thousands of yards and become an elite passer, but I'm saying he's going to be looked at not necessarily in Lamar Jackson's light because he's not as fast as Lamar, things of that nature, but as a similar type of player where he's more of an athletic runner, a dual threat guy, but can make some throws to keep his guys going. He's got great weapons. So I'm taking Jalen Hurts. I think he's going to have a good year. I think the Eagles are going to have a really good year too.
Like a smaller Cam Newton type of guy, potentially.
Yeah, type of guy like that. So an athletic guy that's not a drop back passer, that's not going to freaking light the league on fire, but he's gonna have a breakout-ish year where he's going to be looked at as this guy can win football games for you. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I like that pick.
If you surround him with the guys that he has, I mean, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, I mean, he's got weapons to throw the ball to. It's just
he does.
I think he's got a really good total supporting cast, not just his receivers, O-line, running backs, defense, everything. So I like the Eagles to have a good season.
I like them as well. I agree. They're winning that division.
Again, Matt, like we agree on the division winner right there. I mean, the Eagles coming up and all that. The Cowboys make a significant step back, I would say, with losing Amari Cooper, losing Randy Gregory on defense. I know they got Micah Parsons rushing the passer, but still, and you got Trayvon Diggs giving up 1,000 yards of receivers here and there. But you get the idea. Can't wait for week 2. But I'm going to go with a guy from the NFC as well. Coming off of injury, I got Jameis Winston, man.
Oh yeah,
I think he's going to make a nice jump. I don't think I'm not going to say he's going to be top 10 or whatever like that.
Right.
I think he can crack that top 15, and with the very good season, he's got a great supporting cast when it comes to Michael Thomas and rookie Chris Olave and then Jarvis Landry running in the slot and everything.
Cornfield.
And hopefully Alvin Kamara isn't all suspended and stuff like that from what happened last year at the Pro Bowl. But it's going to be a different look when it comes to having a new head coach. And Dennis Allen had a failed stint with the Raiders. He's not going to be, keeping an eye on the offense and all that this year. I'm pretty sure Pete Carmichael still might be there, but yeah, I think Jameis Winston can make a pretty good jump. I think their schedule really isn't all that bad this year. When it comes to Winston having some good games. I mean, the first 3 games this year, they play the Falcons, they play the Bucs at home, who they just somehow just can't lose to. They haven't lost the regular season game to them in nearly 3 years. The Panthers and the Vikings over in London. So I could see Jameis Winston making another hot start like he did last year. He had a really nice jump, 14 touchdowns and 3 picks before he got hurt. And the Saints were rolling. They were 5-2 last year, the first 7 or 8 games. So I could definitely see Jameis Winston making a step or 2 forward, especially coming off of that injury.
And he didn't. He didn't even have his top 3 targets too.
Yeah, he did. Like, this is a completely new receiving core for him. And Jameis Winston's such a good deep ball passer. And, Chris Olave knows a lot about running some deep post patterns in the Cedar Superdome. So, maybe we'll find that happen a lot more this year. So I could see Jameis Winston making that next step and maybe being a sneaky wild card this year for the Saints. Actually, I'm at my 7th seed, but that's a lot of foreshadowing for another episode. But yeah, a lot of quarterback talk tonight, guys. How do we feel about it?
I liked it. I like talking QBs for sure. One of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, I had a good time tonight for sure.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I got a question. What do you think about Tua? How do you think Tua is going to have this year? What do you think?
I
think he sucks. I think Tua sucks. But it's really hard. He's got two of the fastest dudes in the league. It's really hard to not have a good, somewhat of a good season with those weapons. So, if you're the Dolphins, you're in a situation where if they go out and win like 9 or 10 games, maybe sneak in and make the wild card.
Yeah,
right.
That's like your ceiling. But the problem is, so you're not going to. But they're not going to think that's their ceiling. They're not going to go move off of Tua.
Oh,
so they're going to be trapped. They're going to be trapped. They're going to be trapped in a situation where they're like, okay, we just had a good year for us. We made the playoffs, 9 or 10 wins, but we're never going to get better. And they're just going to go through that cycle of, wow, okay, Tua did this a couple years ago. Tua did this. We got to keep going with them, They're going to be trapped. I think they just got to move off of him right now. Get his ass out. But they're not going to. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's
my take on Tua.
Imagine giving Fields that situation, though.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They got to get off of Tua.
Because Tua is going to throw so many picks trying to throw it deep to Tyreek because he can't get it there. He's gonna choke one deep because he has to, and it's gonna fall short. And the corners.
It's just like for me, I think he's gonna have a good enough year to where there's no way they're not gonna move off of him.
I agree. But he's gonna have to have a decent year with these guys. I mean, come on,
that's what I'm saying. It's hard to not have a. I mean, it's hard to not look good. So it's really a tricky situation.
Yeah.
So with my take on this, I don't think Tua is that good of a quarterback at all. Okay. I'm going to the week 4 Dolphins-Bengals game. All right. So I'm going to get to see Tua in person for the first time and see what he's able to do with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But his first couple games, he plays the Patriots, who just lost J.C. Jackson to free agency. So I don't know what their offense is going to look like, especially with Mike McDaniel. I don't know if they're going to have a lot more when it comes to, not drop back passing and, all that stuff, or is going to be a lot of reads? Is it just going to be a lot of quick hitters? What's it going to be? If the Dolphins take the route of, a lot of quick hitters and all that stuff, they might be fine as a dink and dunk offense. But with those explosive guys, they'd be dumb. They'd be dumb to do that. All right. Yeah. That's just the bottom. They'd be dumb to do that. And they'd be getting clowned by the national media. But, wins is all that matters. They got the Patriots. They got the Ravens. Week 2, the Ravens secondary is ridiculous. So finding Tua try to throw deep balls on those guys is going to be a nightmare for Dolphins fans. They got the Bills week 3, who Josh Allen just can't lose to the Bills. So that means Tua's going to have to play with some fireworks and try to make this game a 30-35 game. I just don't see him doing that. And then week 4, he plays the Bengals, the defending AFC champs. I mean, maybe he could find some success against them, in their secondary here and there, but. I mean, he's going to have to win them a game. He's had to win them a lot of games this year is the thing. They have a good team, okay? They're going to win 9. They're going to win 9 games.
They have a very good team.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They're ready to win right now.
They are.
Quarterback.
Yep.
They're ready to win right now. And that's the problem. They're going to win this year because they're so good around him.
Yeah.
But they're going to win more in despite of him rather than because of him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's going to play. He's going to play good enough to where they got to keep him in. They're going to keep him and think, oh, shit, okay, maybe he could just keep getting better and better and better. But really, he's going to reach his fucking ceiling right now. It's not going to get any higher. They're going to be trapped.
Imagine if they would have drafted
situation.
Herbert. Imagine if they would have drafted Justin.
100%.
They would have been set. You're talking like –
you're talking about AFC East, Allen and
Herbert.
And Josh Allen and Herbert going at it forever.
Right.
But think about this. Also, I was thinking about this. I think the AFC West might be the best quarterback division in the history of the league.
It probably is
this year.
Yeah.
Think about it. They have 5. So for us, we have 4 top 10 guys that we ranked. All of us agreed on. All 4 of them are in the top 10. But they've got 2 Hall of Famers for sure.
Yeah.
And Russ and Patrick Mahomes and Herbert. Most likely, we're thinking he's going to be on a Hall of Fame trajectory at some point, getting there. So, I mean, that's freaking crazy. I can't even – I would have to go back and look, but I think that's the best quarterback division there's ever been in the history of the sport.
It's pretty insane. Like, it's actually –
I mean, it's insanely good.
The way we were talking about Russ, 2 years ago, was that he's top 5. And
100%, yeah.
Get back there.
I'd already top. They were talking about top a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of people last year Russ hurt his thumb.
Yeah,
and
we
missed 2 or 3 games and so he was fighting through it with a bum thumb. So a lot of people really are starting to hate giving Russ a little bit more hate than I think he's worth getting. You know what I'm saying?
For all I know.
Right. So I'm not down on Russ at all. I think he's going to have another great year. I think the Broncos are going to be really good. So I think that's we're just talking about quarterbacks in general, but that division, freaking insane.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Unreal.
And
absolutely insane.
You think about it when we're talking about Russ. I know I have him at 8. And, part of the injury might go into effect and coming into a new system. And, we talk about those receivers. Those receivers really, they're good, but they really haven't, proven anything. They haven't had a chance to have a quarterback to have things proven with. But Russ 2 years ago, the first 6 games of the year, was the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
Did you guys remember that? He threw 20 touchdowns, 3 picks in 6 games. It was unreal.
You're talking about COVID season, right?
COVID season. He was
COVID year. He was nuts.
That was unreal.
Him and DK. I had him in fantasy. Him and DK were freaking nuts that year at the beginning of the season. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, he was hitting DK deep all the time. I mean, honestly, sometimes. DK.
I think that was the game DK chased down the Cardinals guy after the pick.
Sunday night against the Cardinals. They had 3 Sunday night games in 7 weeks, and I stayed up and watched every single one of them just to see Russell Wilson just chuck it downfield. It was awesome.
Yeah, but he's a beast, man.
He is.
He really is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's fallen off. I think people are not giving him. I mean, I wouldn't say they're hating on him, but they're just kind of letting him fall down the list a little bit in terms of rankings. But also, I will say this: it's probably fair because there also are probably 3 guys that have really stepped up since that year in terms of quarterbacks. You got Burrow, Herbert, and now Matt Stafford really has stepped up and became elite after winning the Super Bowl. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at top 10 lists, it's fair to see Russ kind of slide down a little bit, but also he's still that good.
Yes,
so it's kind of a mixture of
100% agree with that.
It's not necessarily a hate on Russ. It's that these guys have also became really, really good too. So it's you got to balance that out.
And even Tom Brady has put himself back in the up in the top 3 because a couple of years ago,
right.
Patriots, they're like, oh, maybe he's falling off, and then boom, throws for 5,000 yards. He's back.
Win Super Bowl too.
Yeah.
You look at these guys now, all right? I don't know when the last time, we talk about maybe go back 10, 15 years ago. There's 5 guys everybody talk about. There's a whole group. There's 8 quarterbacks that are 8 or 9 quarterbacks that are really freaking good.
Yeah,
these are all franchise guys and everything, and all exciting to watch. They're worth the payment of a ticket and everything. And the thing about I'll go on Russell and Tua. Tua. I mean, I also want to look at this. He plays in December. He plays up north in December twice. He's going to fold. That's one thing.
Oh, fold completely.
But Russell Wilson, his receiving core in Seattle was better than the ones he has in Denver, but that also has yet to be determined because, those guys haven't had a chance to have a quarterback like Russell Wilson. I would take, DK and Tyler Lockett over the guys they have in Denver. But who knows? With Seattle the last couple of years, they had a pretty bad defense, and Denver's defense is pretty.
And the offensive line was atrocious in Seattle.
Yes.
So in terms of wide receivers, I agree. I would take Seattle's receivers, but as overall team,
Yeah.
Broncos all day long.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to weigh, and there's a lot of layers that come into this because you look at it. Okay, you look at the guys he's going to be throwing to, then look at the guys that he's going to be surrounded by when it comes to on the opposite sides of the ball, and that's when we talk about like preseason picks and all that. So I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see the Broncos and up front because their first 2 games of the season, like he goes back to Seattle on Monday night. What a way to start the year! I mean, that's incredible.
Same with Baker.
Yes.
If you going to the Browns,
that could work. I'm not even gonna lie. That could work. That could actually work.
We talked about quarterbacks and didn't say a word about Baker yet.
I know
all those stories with him.
Yeah, exactly. It took an hour and 5 to talk about that, but I think it could honestly, like with the NFC's door open. I don't know how the Panthers are going to be this year, but I don't think he's a bad quarterback. He's not a good quarterback or great. He's right in the middle, but he can make throws and make plays, and he's got some good guys on the outside, I will say.
Yeah,
you got DJ Moore, right?
Yeah, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Anderson said he sucks. He basically said he sucks. I don't want this guy.
Exactly. So I don't know how that's gonna work. And then Christian McCaffrey, if he doesn't made of fucking glass, then that could work. But yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'm surprised I didn't talk about Baker Mayfield at all. Actually, that slipped my mind completely.
Really crossed my mind.
I didn't even think about it.
I didn't either.
But yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this: when we talk about Week 1 games, we come up, like before the start of the NFL season, all that week, man, there are going to be some juicy headlines that we could talk about with Russ going back to Seattle and Baker welcoming the Browns in there and all that, and and Tom Brady's playing in Dallas on Sunday Night Football to start, and the Bills and the Rams are getting at it in 57 days. So there's going to be a lot of exciting Week 1 matchups, and just this entire season. I can't remember this much hype or this much movement going on in an off season, and we're just ready for football, man. So that goes for college and the NFL. But this was very good episode, very good talks about that. We're going to come at you more with divisional breakdowns, predictions, all of that, hot takes galore. So any final thoughts? Going off camera, Matt, you got any final thoughts?
I'm good, man. I'm ready to eat. We had a good
I bet you are. Yes, we did. I know you ready to get in some of that. What do you have to eat again? You said you had Roadhouse, right?
I got a nice chicken critter salad.
Oh yeah,
from Texas Roadhouse, and then I got to order a fried pickles too. So I'm about to smash.
We're gonna let you get to that one, Brady. Final
smash.
We'll let you get to it for sure. Yep. I don't have any final thoughts either.
Oh, yeah.
Good episode.
Yes, sir. Good episode, and appreciate you guys coming on here. We're going to get off so Matt can enjoy that delicious food from Texas Roadhouse. And that, for being said, that's Matt Ricketts, Brady King, Chase Johnson, and we'll see you.
We'll see you guys.